All right, check, 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 check. 1 2 1 2. We're gonna get started soon. I just want to give everybody a little bit of time to join in before I jump right into this. Do 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 do. Okay. I need to add like a web capture into my stream. And I need to make sure I adjust the audio settings so that you guys can hear. There we go. Web capture. I might do like a split session of this. If you're just now joining, I'm just trying to get our lore package set up. I don't know. I don't want to do that one. Complete history of let's see. So if I go over here, filter, edit the filter, turn off the filter. Welcome to the stream. I'm just gonna do a sound check right quick. I'm gonna turn off our actual music in the background. Alright. And then I'm gonna do just a sound test over here with this one. I don't need this one necessarily. Let's see. 1, 2, 3.
The past, so dear to you, offers a precious, though not sufficient consolation, inevitably destined to run out too soon.
Okay, it looks
In
like the
those
sound's playing through. Let me make sure there's no weird stuff on here. And if I do go back to normal mode, I wanted y'all to see the cards as well with this, but I don't think it's not in the cards. And I don't want to put it in this window over here because that's strictly for the art. Okay, let's get this party started. Let's get this party started. This might be a two-parter. I might do like 30 minutes of it and then do the next 30 minutes on the next stream. And we'll have like a little recap. But let's transition this over here. There we go. Hey, how's it going? I'm Mario Hero. I turn your favorite characters into spray cans and I make video games. If you've been here before, you already know that. If you're brand new, now you know that. And I want to say welcome everybody. I didn't have my light on. How's everybody doing? What's poppin'? Good afternoon. What's up, chat? Today we're going to be doing a session. It's different than my usual one. I'm going to play a video in the background from Octopus. Go ahead and over there on YouTube and give them a like. Give them a like too. And it's going to be talking about the complete history of Jace Beleren. All right. It's Magic the Gathering. It's going to be lore filled. We're going to hear about other characters and we're going to link to other things. But don't worry, it's going to be a good time. What's up, Cry? Thanks for joining. Lonely E-Girl. I don't know. Rodriguez, what's up? Drape, what's up? Scorply, how's it going? I think the rest are bots. So, here we go. Let's get this party started. Got that reveal. Boom. We have our Jace design. And I'm gonna make a layer and then I'm gonna get this audio started. So here we go. Let me know if the
Cremelyric.
audio is good.
What's poppin'?
Oh, y'all are definitely gonna hear.
Excited for this.
I think y'all hear the TTS too, because it all comes through the same window. Well, we are here now. Okay. Let me know if y'all hear the audio good. What's poppin'? I'm excited to do this session. I've been wanting to do this for a while, and the lore is generally pretty good. I don't know how this account is, and if it's not good, I'm just gonna pick another one. All right, here we go. How's that audio? Let me know if it's good or not. I'll increase it.
Imagine finding yourself one step away from the end. Everything around you loses meaning. The past, so dear to you, offers a precious, though not sufficient consolation, inevitably destined to run out too soon. In those brief moments that separate you from the
Cremelyric.
non-existence, you contemplate
It's good
the
for
years
me.
that have passed, the experience that you've lived, the lovers you've lost, and the choices you've not made. If only you could go back for a few moments and change things. How many countless other roads you could have taken. How many words you could have the courage to say. And how many precious moments you could value. Alas, it is too late now. There is no more time. Your life is ending, and the eternal nothingness awaits you. Imagine, however, of not being alone in this. Your love is with you, which, now that you think about it, makes everything so much more difficult and heartbreaking. There is no time for this. The little you had is almost over. Now imagine yourself tasting your own tears on your cheeks, while a sigh filled with resignation exhales from your mouths. You're scared and not ready, but at least there is time for one last moment of life. Imagine feeling the warmth of your lover's breath while your trembling lips touch each other helplessly in a last, fleeting attempt to escape your destiny. Imagine, however, that waiting for you there is not the usual soft and sweet lips that you would recognize amongst thousands, but the bitter taste of unspeakable lies. Imagine feeling pierced as if by a dagger that burns like ice, and then you would hear a voice, sneaky and unknown, whispering like a sentence in your ear. The words you hear are as sharp as a sword and as cold as metal. They are alien words, as well as the being who pronounces them.
For the glory of new Phyrexia.
What you have just heard could be defined as the epilogue of this sad story, the finale of a journey that lasted many lives and shaped many worlds. But to fully understand it, we will have to go back to time immemorial and take a closer look at the life of a young boy on the plain of Ren. Jace Bellerin was his name, and Silmut's Crossing his birthplace. From the earliest years of his life, it was clear to everyone that the young Jace possessed a very rare gift: telepathy. In order to educate the young boy and direct his talents, Jace's father took him to Almaret, the local sphinx shaped sorcerer who acted as an impartial arbiter between the two local factions engaged in a civil war, the Amphrin and the Trovians. Almaret agreed to take the young Jace, who was just 13 at the time, and mentor him. Under his master's guidance, Jace spent years studying new and increasingly complex magic, as well as honing his telepathic talents. For the first time in his short life, the boy felt like he belonged somewhere and that he was truly appreciated by someone. But alas, all this could not last for too long. After just 2 years of training, Almaret began giving his young apprentice spying duties. Jace had to sneak into both factions' camps and gather military intelligence to report back to his master. During one of his missions, Jace tried, as he usually did from time to time, up to now without ever being successful, to penetrate the mind of Almaret. Only this time, Jace succeeded. And in breaching his mentor's mind, the young wizard discovered a shocking truth about his own past. Several months earlier, the primal energy of an otherworldly spark had awakened within him. It had showed him the hidden truth of a multiverse composed of an infinite number of planes of existence. Jace was one of the legendary planeswalkers, mythological creatures capable, or so the ancient tales told, of walking through the blind eternities that separated the various worlds. As if this wasn't enough, Onmaret, his master, the closest thing Jace had to a father, knew everything. And not only had the Sphinx kept the truth from his pupil, but he had also repeatedly erased his memory whenever they would come back.
Dang.
In addition to
Dang.
that,
So
it
he's
was
been,
later
hold on. He's been jumping through time with this dude, or going through different planes with him, and the Sphinx has just been erasing all memory of this. Talk about him not wanting him to be great at all. All right, back to the story.
revealed that Almaret was in fact manipulating the two warring factions of Rin by secretly providing intelligence to both of them. This, in turn, allowed him to keep the tide of the conflict unchanged, enriching himself from the sale of information while preserving his status as an impartial arbiter in the eyes of all.
Mm.
With Almaret's terrible nature revealed, Jace challenged his master to a telepathic duel. The two wizards fought for days, but eventually, at the cost of much of his sanity and memories, Jace disintegrated his master's mind, rendering him unable to breathe. The extreme effort, both physical but above all emotional and mental, that this duel required of Jace was too great to bear and caused the reignition of his planeswalker's spark. The mentalist lost consciousness during the walking and, unaware of what had just happened, he awoke in the marvelous streets of the plain-wide city of Ravnica.
All right, for those of you just now joining, we're going over Jace. He's pretty much a planeswalker at this point. Uh, and just a little backstory about planeswalkers. Planeswalkers generally planeswalk when they're under people. They have sparks that allow them to shift between different planes. You can just refer to them as other dimensions, but they call them planes in Magic. And it's pretty much not everybody has this. It is only under a huge level of distress you're able to do this. So he just managed to walk to this place called Nafrica. Yeah, they just said it. Whatever.
Over time, Jace settled down on Ravnica.
Ravnica, there
The
you go.
wizard enriched himself in unorthodox ways and led a comfortable life for some time. His main source of income was from penetrating the minds of local noble lords to discover their secrets and subsequently extort money from them in exchange for his silence. During one of his jobs, Jace was approached by the leader of an interplanar merchant organization who was interested in offering Jace a business partnership. The organization was called the Infinite Consortium, and its leader, Tezzeret. After an initial moment of hesitation, Jace agreed to collaborate with Tezzeret, putting his telepathic skills at the disposal of the consortium. In the years that followed, Jace held various jobs for the consortium, always accompanied and aided by his partner and friend, Kalis Broka, a blade master originally from Ravnica. Notably, during his first year of service, Jace recovered an encrypted scroll called the Dragon Scroll, which the Pyromancer planeswalker Chandra Nalaar had earlier stolen from the Sanctum of Stars in Kefalai. Keep in mind this information as it will come in handy later. Soon, however, the cruelty and total lack of scruples that characterized the work of the consortium made the mentalist come to his senses, and he began to feel remorse for his actions. The situation got even worse when, following the failure of a mission entrusted to him directly by Tezzeret, Jace was tortured and savagely beaten by the Esperite Artificer. But Jace's problems had just begun. A short time later, Tezzeret was summoned by the all-powerful Nicol Bolas, the original founder of the consortium, to settle a mining dispute over an unknown plane. The Artificer, suspicious of this summon and distrustful of Bolas, decided to take Jace with him, entrusting the Mentalist with the task of staying alert and possibly prepared to defend both of them from an hypothetical mental
Chromelyric.
attack by the dragon.
Damn.
The meeting eventually took
Right.
place, and Bolas attempted indeed to penetrate the minds of the two men. Jace tried in vain to resist and was miserably destroyed. But again, this was only the first of his problems, because eventually the two men managed to escape, and the wrath of the cruel Tezzeret was not slow to pour on Jace, who was tortured for weeks for failing in the task assigned to him.
Dang.
Finally, the real breaking point came when Jace refused to carry out entirely a new task given to him by Tezzeret. Outraged, Tezzeret reasoned that the Mentalist was no longer a useful asset to the consortium and, as such, it should have been eliminated. Almost instantaneously, all consortium forces were deployed with a single task: to find and kill Jace Beleren. Frightened and panicked, Jace did what any other man or woman would do. He took his only friend Kalis with him and fled to the farthest reaches of Ravnica in an attempt to lose the consortium spies. During their travels, the two came across the seductive and beautiful necromancer Liliana Vess, with whom Jace eventually had a torrid affair.
Hmm.
Later, unbeknownst to Jace and manipulated by Nicol Bolas himself, Liliana betrayed her lover and revealed Jace and Kalis' hiding place to Tezzeret. In the battle that ensued, Jace narrowly escaped with his life, while his partner and only friend Callist died.
Dang.
6 months later, Liliana tracked down the mentalist once more and urged him to engineer his revenge against Tezzeret so as to finally be free from him and avenge the poor Callist in the process. What followed was a long period of Jace and Tezzeret plotting to kill each other. On one side, Tezzeret was not willing to tolerate the insubordination and impudence of an arrogant brat unable to do what he was told, while Jace just wanted to finally be free of Tezzeret and the consortium. Finally, Jace, always supported and advised by Liliana, decided to launch a decisive attack against Tezzeret's base. Unfortunately, nothing went as planned that day. The attack failed, Jace was imprisoned, and Liliana's betrayal came to light.
Mm.
In the months that followed, Jace endured unspeakable torment and endless torture as Tezzeret struggled to construct an artifact which was capable of controlling his prisoner's mind without harming his psychic abilities. One day, against all odds, Jace was approached in his cell by Liliana Vess, who desperately tried to explain the reasons for her actions to her beloved. The necromancer's heart was sincere, and to prove it, she helped the mentalist escape from the terrible prison in which Tezzeret had confined him. Finally, Jace and Tezzeret met one last time on the battlefield. This time, however, Jace managed to get the upper hand of the Esperite Planeswalker and eradicated all memories from Tezzeret's mind, thus leaving the consortium leaderless and doomed to fall. Shortly thereafter, Jace, in an attempt to thank Liliana for helping him in defeating Tezzeret once and for all, vowed to help her in any way that he could.
Oh, hold on a second. So they said something that you might not be familiar with. They mentioned Esper. In Magic the Gathering, there's different so there's 5 colors. You have red, white, blue, green, and black. And when they do different combinations of the colors, they have different guilds from there. So Esper is blue and black. Jace is blue, and Liliana, his lover slash person who traded was a traitor to him, uh, she's black. Or that's the color she represents. All right, let's continue.
Hello, you guys. Sorry for the interruption. This is
No, bro, no, no, back. No, we're not doing that. We're going to chapter 3, Zendikar.
3 years after retrieving the Dragon Scroll from Chandra, Jace was finally able to decipher parts of it, identifying the location referred to in the text as the Plain of Zendikar. Eager to learn more and drawn by the sense that an ancient power lurked within the scroll, Jace journeyed to Zendikar, and there he followed in Chandra's footsteps into a hidden cavern deep within the continent of Akum. To his extreme surprise, Jace found Chandra herself within the cave, battling a huge red dragon. Instinctively, Jace tried to help the pyromancer, but to no avail. Soon, the mentalist noticed that his magic was being absorbed by a giant floating hadron in the center of the cave. Jace then, drawing on what little he had managed to decipher from the scroll, yelled at Chandra to create a fire that could not be seen. By using this ancient yet mysterious power, the two were able to defeat the dragon, which was none other than the Tarkirian planeswalker Sarkhan Vol,
So I don't
before
like this
passing
one
out
because he doesn't
themselves.
explain like how he got the
When he
Zendikar.
woke up,
He
Jace
kind of
wondered
just
why
like
the three planeswalkers had found
appeared at
themselves in
Zendikar.
this very cave and at this precise moment. Growingly suspicious that something, or someone, had manipulated their actions and paths, Jace left the cave with the intention of informing the sages of the Seagate of Olimar on the Tazim continent of Zendikar of what had happened. Very soon, however, Jace realized that something had profoundly changed on Zendikar. Despite his complete ignorance of the plane, he could still feel it in the magical vibrations around him. His suspicions were finally confirmed when the mentalist was attacked by a huge and monstrous alien being. Jace was able to defeat his terrifying foe, and 2 weeks later, the wizard arrived at the lighthouse of Olimar, where he learned parts of the ancient history of the primal world-eating monsters known as the Eldrazi, a and reported what had happened at Akum. After that, feeling no need to further his knowledge of the Eldrazi, but rather interested in learning more about the Dragon Scroll, Jace left Zendikar, promising the sages and archivists of Alimar that he would have returned if he had discovered any valuable information on these otherworldly beings. After the turmoil of recent years, Jace decided to allow himself a time of wandering, neglecting his past obligations and finally returning to the plane that had initially welcomed him after his first planeswalk, Ravnica. However, after some mysterious symbols began to appear throughout the 10th district of the immense plain-white city, Jace became entangled in the complex webs of internal feuds that governed the relations between the 10 guilds among which Ravnica was divided. In the months that followed, Jace befriended the Celestian Health Priestess Amara, navigated the deceptions of the Dimir Guildmaster Lazav, endured the judgment of the Azorius Guildmaster Lavinia, fought a deadly duel with the Izzet Guildmaster Bral Zarek, and discovered the great truth about the implicit maze and the supreme verdict. In the final stages of the events of the Return to Ravnica block, Jace played a fundamental role in the fate of the entire plane, saving the fortunes of the 10 guilds and the lives of countless people. As a result of this, Jace was declared the new Living Guild Pact, or the living mediator tasked with understanding and accommodating the perspectives of each of Ravnica's 10 guilds in order to maintain and ensure peace on the plane. In the years that followed, Jace continued to explore the vast multiverse, moved by his thirst for knowledge, but often his duties as the Living Guild Pact called him back on Ravnica. One day, on one of these occasions, Jace clashed with the Gorgon planeswalker Rashka, whose aim was to subdue the Great Mentalist and thus have direct influence over the 10 guilds. Jace defeated Rashka without much trouble, but one thing in particular that the Gorgons said during their fight planted the root of a terrible doubt in the Great Mage's mind. Entrusting Lavinia of the Azorius Syndicate in his absence, the Living Guild Pact Jace Beleren set out to find more information about what had happened to the planeswalker Garruk Wildspeaker.
You don't know what's become of him, do you? Never mind. I'm sure you already failed him as well. You're a plague, Beleren, a scourge to all those you claim to protect. Declaring your loyalty to me will be the first favor you do to this world.
While investigating Rashka's ominous warning, Jace discovered that Garruk's soul had been corrupted by an ancient artifact imbued with demonic power. Over time, the curse that had befallen the hunter had greatly worsened, and now, more bloodthirsty monster the reasonable man, Garruk was on his way to the plane of Shandalar to fulfill an age-old Onake prophecy which said that the bearer of this curse would be transformed into a demon by the name of World Slayer. Not only did the Living Guild Pact discover that the fulfillment of this prophecy would spell the destruction of the entire plane of Shandalar, but the birth of the World Slayer would have undoubtedly posed a dire threat to the entire multiverse, including Ravnica. Resolved not to risk the safety of his own plane, Jace hunted down the planeswalker Ob Nixilis on the plane of Zendikar, from whose head he retrieved a hedron capable of suppressing its bearer's demonic powers. With the Mystic Stone recovered, Jace made his way to Shandalar, where he patiently awaited Garruk's arrival. The two planeswalkers engaged in a titanic battle, which ended up destroying much of their surroundings. Eventually, Jace was able to implant the hedron in Garruk's head and stop the curse of the Chain Veil from taking effect. Back on Ravnica, Jace was approached by a proud planeswalker of Theros named Gideon Jura, who was engaged, along with other worthy planeswalkers and warriors, in a foolish resistance against the Eldrazi on Zendikar. Gideon had determined that the hedrons scattered across Zendikar exerted some form of influence over the Eldrazi broods as they were connected to the plane's ley lines. Precisely for this reason, after realizing that he could not win the battle for Zendikar alone, Gideon had decided to turn to the master of the ley lines himself, the Living Guild Pact, Jace Beleren. Feeling partly responsible for the fate Zendikar was being subjected to, Jace decided to accept the proposition and followed Gideon Jura through the Blind Eternities. After trying in vain to recruit the pyromancer Chandra Nalar, Jace and Gideon walked to Zendikar, where they found out that the capital city of Seagate, which was one of the most important commercial and cultural center of the entire plane of Zendikar, had fallen to the destruction of the Eldrazi. Along with Jory N, a Zendikari merfolk friend of Gideon, Jace was able to figure out that the hidden cavern deep in the plane's vacuum where it all supposedly began, and which went by the name of the Eye of Ugin, was none other than the epicenter of all ley lines that traversed the plane of Zendikar. For this reason, it was reasonable to think that the place possessed a much greater importance than Gideon, Jory N, or Jace himself could have imagined. Resolute, Jace and Jory Hen decided to head to the Eye to investigate. Halfway there, however, the duo stumbled upon one of the three great Eldrazi titans, Ulamog. Jace and Jory barely escaped the destructive fury of the Infinite Gyre and decided to part ways. Jace would continue on to the Eye, while Jory would return to Gideon to warn everyone of the impending doom. Once he arrived at his destination, Jace found Hugin himself, intent in rebuilding the interior of the chamber as well as the Hedron's network, which had both collapsed during the clash between Jace, Chandra, and Sarkhan. After welcoming him inside the underground chamber, the spirit dragon revealed to the mentalist how the Hedron network could be exploited to re-imprison the Eldrazi on the plane of Zendikar, thus preventing further damage to the various planes of the multiverse. The Living Guild Pact, however, astute and wise as always, immediately realized that the same principle could have been used to kill the three great titans rather than imprisoning them again. Heedless of Ugin's warning to refrain from such folly, Jace immediately set off again to Seagate to share the new invaluable information with his friend and brother-in-arms Gideon. Shortly after arriving at Seagate and reporting what he had learned, the city, or what was left of it, was again attacked by Ulamog. This time, however, armed with new insights into the functioning of the Hedron network and also aided by the planeswalkers Chandra Nalaar and Nissa Revane, who in the meantime had come to Zendikar to offer their help in repelling the Eldrazi advance, Gideon and Jace managed to survive and repel the attack by Ulamog, Kozilek, and Ob Nixilis, who had meanwhile sided alongside the Eldrazi. If there was one lesson that Jace, Gideon, Chandra, and Nissa learned from their confrontation with Ulamog and Kozilek, it was the realization that they were nowhere near as strong as they thought they were. On the contrary, they felt weak, insignificant, and irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. This had to change. Too many threats were taking shape across the various planes, and the multiverse was unable to defend itself. Somebody had to keep watch. A handful of brave heroes would have to take responsibility for watching over the multiverse and give their lives to ensure its peace and survival if need be. The four planeswalkers solemnly swore to join their forces, even if it was the last thing they would do in their lives, in defense of this cause.
So, these are the four planeswalkers that they're mentioning are the planeswalkers that I'm going to be turning into spray cans. So there's Gideon, he's the white planeswalker. You have Jace, who's blue. You have Chandra, who's red, and then you have Nissa, who's green. So just to catch you up, we uh we talked about Liliana as well, and she's one of them, but she doesn't come until later on. Just so we're all caught up here. Uh, Everybody still with us on the lore? Is this interesting? Or are you like more so confused? Welcome to the stream if you're just now joining. Yes, no, maybe so. All right. If you have any questions, just ping me. I'm listening.
The legendary Gatewatch were born out of this oath,
Chromelyric.
and they were immediately
Keep it
confronted
rolling.
with one of the worst
All
threats
right.
that the multiverse
Here
had
we
ever
go.
faced. The three Titans had to be stopped. Realizing that the fate of the multiverse had to come before the Spirit Dragon's wish to spare the Eldrazi's lives, Jace resolved to neutralize the immense World Eaters by killing them with the help of his companions and a local merfolk planeswalker. Soon, the self-appointed defenders of the multiverse found themselves in the battlefield against the Titans Ulamog and Kozilek. What followed was a battle of epic proportions. At first, the Gatewatch magic had proved nearly useless against the Old Ones. However, leveraging Zendikar's Leyline's networks, the Valiant Walkers were able to channel the destructive power of Chandra's pyromantic magic through the green magic of Nissa Rebane.
All right. Also, I'm gonna
Now,
drop a picture
with no
of
strength left in their
what
bodies
these
and ready for the end,
Eldrazi's look like
the Gatewatch
in the
managed
chat.
to launch a last, desperate attack against Ulamog and Kozilek. In a brilliant blaze of blinding stellar energy, both Titans were incinerated and destroyed, leaving behind a thick blanket of ash that covered the entire surface of Zendikar like an endless mist. There was a third Titan, however, that was missing from the count. Emrakul had vanished, summoned to the endless depths of the blind eternities by an echo from a distant world. After defeating Ulamog and Kozilek, Jace set out in search of the vampire planeswalker Sorin Markov. His millennial experience and deep knowledge of the multiverse, the Mentalist reasoned, would have been an incredible asset to the Gatewatch mission. For months on end, Jace tried to track down Sorin without success. First asking for the help of Liliana Vess, who, however, could not or did not want to help him, then following the cryptic indications hidden inside Tamiya's diary, which the Mentalist had recovered from an inspection in Markov Manor. Finally, during the final stages of the Shadows on the Innistrad block, Jace and Tamiya witnessed powerless the arrival of the third great Eldrazi Titan. Emrakul, the Iron-Storm, who had been drawn to the plane of Innistrad by the Lithomancer planeswalker Nahiri, now stood before them. Nahiri, on her part, had summoned Emrakul to enact her revenge on Sorin Markov's betrayal. Immediately, Jace recognized the gravity of the situation and ran to call the rest of the Gatewatch. After all, they had succeeded in disintegrating Ulamog and Kozilek on Zendikar, so certainly they could have contained Emrakul's fury as well. Unfortunately, this was not the case. Innistrad's ley lines were already synchronized with cryptoliths created by the planeswalker Nahiri to lure Emrakul to the plane, and as such, they could not be used as a conduit for Chandra's pyromancy, as was done on Zendikar. Unable to think of an alternative plan that could turn the tables, the Gatewatch found themselves overwhelmed by a host of Eldrazi monsters. And although each of them would have fought until their last breath, this battle was not one they could win. When all hope seemed to be lost, however, and every light seemed to have gone out, help came from the one who alone had the power to change the tide of this battle. Liliana Vess, the cursed necromancer of Dominaria, unleashed a huge army of undead against the Eldrazi ancient monster. This, of course, wasn't enough to kill the Titan, but it bought the Gatewatch enough time to regroup and join the counterattack. Jace's job was to protect everyone in the group from Emrakul's mental assaults. Gideon and Chandra were tasked with holding off the hordes of the Eldrazi spawn by slowing them as much as possible, while Nissa and Tamiyo managed in a last titanic effort to combine their forces and imprison the weakened Titan on the moon of Innistrad. The Eldrazi had finally been defeated. Catastrophe had been avoided. Or had it? Because shortly after completing the spell that had imprisoned Emrakul on the moon, Tamiya revealed to Jace that she had not been able to resist the mind control of the beast in the last seconds before casting the spell. Thus, the formula she had used to complete the binding spell was not the one she should have used.
Oh, dang.
It was different. It was unknown. Emrakul herself had provided it to Tamiya. Did the beast want to be imprisoned? It didn't make any sense. What if the cunning Titan had tricked them all, though? and this was just part of a bigger and far more frightening plan. Was such a thing really possible? The Eldrazi were supposed to be eaters of worlds, those who ensure the perpetuation of a natural cycle of things, life and death. Could they be even able to hatch plans beyond that? Have aspirations? Maybe even feelings? There was no way to know now. Hammerkull had been imprisoned. The end had been thwarted, and that's what mattered. But for how long? Deeply upset by this realization, Jace and Tamiyo parted ways, and Jace pondered for a long time what might be Emrakul's grand plan. For the 3 months that followed, Jace returned to Ravnica. His mansion became the headquarters of the Gatewatch, and the Planeswalkers enjoyed a period of relative peace. One day, thanks to Tamiyo's intercession, the Gatewatch received a visit from an emissary of the Consulate of Kaladesh, the Vedalken Dovin Baan. The Consulate was the all-present body that governed the plane of Kaladesh and its capital city, Girapur. Repression, corruption, and violence were no strangers to the work of the Consulate and its henchmen. Because of this, the situation in Kaladesh was complicated to say the least, with groups of rebels systematically refusing to bow to the will of the governmental authority, organizing acts of active resistance, and in some cases, even fomenting violent civilian uprisings. Dovin Baan had come to the Gatewatch with a proposition from his superiors. The consuls were interested in hiring the Gatewatch to ensure security and public order during the Inventors' Fair, which was supposed to be held in the capital city of Girapur. The Vedalken Planeswalker, however, barely had the time to communicate the reason for his visit when Liliana Vess kicked him out, yelling that the Gatewatch's mission was to protect the multiverse from other Planeswalkers and far worse interplanar threats and not act as vigilante mercenaries. As if that weren't enough, a much more urgent matter required the full attention of the Gatewatch. Several instances of Azorius Senate being found petrified on the streets of Ravnica had led Jace and his companions to believe, with reasonable certainty, that Rashka of the House Golgari had returned to the plane. However, as Jace set out to track down the Gorgon Planeswalker, Liliana informed him that, during a reconnaissance on Kaladesh, she had seen Tezzeret alive and well with her own eyes. In that moment, something clicked in Jace's mind. Tezzeret. How could he be alive? Jace couldn't allow it. He felt much stronger now. The cruel artificer would have had no chance against him. It was a different Jace now, and he, this time, would not be so merciful as to spare Tezzeret's life again. This time, he would get the job done. Jace immediately tracked down Gideon, and the two set off together for Kaladesh, where they would join Liliana and Chandra. The members of the Gatewatch arrived on Kaladesh just in time to intervene in the duel between Tezzeret and Pia Nalaar, who was Chandra's mother and leader of the Girapur resistance against the Consulate's tyranny. Aided by their newest member, the Leonin Ajani Goldmane, the four Planeswalkers managed to save Pia's life and hold off Tezzeret's forces, causing the Artificer to retreat. Later, the Gatewatch sided with the Resistance in the civil war that erupted between the rebels and the Consulate, and after Tezzeret was decisively
They said artificer. It's just people who make these like artifact um come alive. They make artifacts that are just regular artifacts. They don't do anything. Like if you think about robots, they make those type of things. Like they'll make like cell phones, stuff like that. But these guys generally make like these things called thopters, uh, which are flying robots that do like missions for them. All right, back to the story.
defeated by Liliana in direct combat, the Gatewatch discovered that the Esperite Planeswalker had acted under the orders of Nicol Bolas, who had been hiding on the plane of Amonkhet. Now determined more than ever to finish what they had started, and confident that the surprise effect would have been a decisive advantage, Jace pushed to launch an immediate attack on the Ancient Dragon. Nicol Bolas posed perhaps the greatest threat to the multiverse, and whatever he was up to on Amonkhet, he had to be stopped. This was their best chance. The Dragon Planeswalker was definitely stronger than any of them. Its power was as old as time itself.
In the next
Taken
stream,
individually, they would never
we'll go into Nicol Bolas because this is a bad guy. He's practically the Thanos of the Magic the Gathering world. Like, actually, he's worse than Thanos to be honest. Like, you'll see, you'll see.
stand a chance against him. Right now, though, Bolas was weak. The Great Dragon had yet not fully recovered from the failure on Alara. Maybe, if they all attacked him at once without waiting any longer, they really might have had a chance to defeat him. The other members agreed with Jace, and together, they all walked to Amonkhet.
Yeah, the Gatewatch is not against jumping people.
Arriving on Amonkhet, the Gatewatch were at first overwhelmed by the local fauna and undead hosts that populated the plain. After various vicissitudes, the walkers managed to reach unscathed Naktamun, the capital city of the plain. There, Jace and Liliana were able to discover the involvement of the archdemon Razaketh, as well as the truth behind the creation of the Anointed, the mummified slaves used by the people of Amonkhet and created from the bodies of those who, in life, had failed to pass the trials of the five gods. The walkers barely had time to reflect on the significance of their discovery that the hour of revelation crashed upon the plain of Amonkhet. In a few moments, the gate to the afterlife opened. The archdemon of death descended amongst the inhabitants of Amonkhet, the river Luxa turned to blood, and the great plan of Nicol Bolas was finally set into motion. In the general confusion, Jace and the remaining Gatewatch members found Liliana moments before the Necromancer was devoured by Razaketh.
Yo,
Combining
thanks
their
for the follow.
forces,
I appreciate
the
it.
Planeswalkers managed to distract the foul beast, and Liliana was able to land the killing blow. Meanwhile, helplessly watching the chaos and devastation that Bolas's beloved Eternals were wreaking upon Amonkhet, the Gatewatch knew the time had come to launch their attack. This was their chance to save Amonkhet, its people, and the entire multiverse from the clutches of Bolas. But things didn't go that way. In a fit of courage and resolve, the valiant Gatewatch hurled himself at the ancient dragon as one. Presumptuously, Jace was the first to lash out at Bolas. The mentalist attempted in vain to penetrate the dragon's mental defenses, only to find them disturbingly similar to those of another primal being he had previously encountered. Before he could even consider what this might mean, Jace heard the dragon's deep, menacing voice taunt him inside his head. How had he dared? A pathetic, useless, weakling little human trying to look beyond what his dull mind could have ever comprehended. With what arrogance and impudence did he think his mind could bear the vastness of so much knowledge? Very well then. If that was what this insignificant being wanted, he would be satisfied. Nicol Bolas opened his mind keep just enough for Jace to slip into it and find himself trapped in endless, rich darkness.
Dang.
The little man's mind was crushed in an instant by the unspeakable weight of what he saw, and Jace had to instinctively flee through the blind eternities to avoid mental death, leaving the fates of his comrades behind.
Yeah, too much dip on his chip. That's all I
The poor
heard.
mentalist traveled aimlessly for a long time between the folds of existence and the numerous realities hidden behind the blind eternities, dragged by the survival instinct that ordered him to save himself above all else, to keep getting away just a little further, to forget. And so he did.
Dang.
Jace forgot. He lost every memory of his fight with Bolas and his companions, whose life had remained hanging by a thread.
Dang.
He lost memory of his role as Garantor of the Guild Pact and of Ravnica, and his solemn oath to defend the multiverse. He lost memory of himself and that of his name. Only then, when he was reduced to a little more than an empty shell, devoid of any memory or awareness, did Jace land on a deserted island on the plain of Ixalan, oblivious to everything and frightened like a child marooned in an unknown place by people that they do not remember. But Jace, though devoid of memories, had remained stubborn. He instinctively tried to planeswalk away, but to no avail. Something, or someone, would prevent him from leaving through the same blind eternities from whence it come. The need he felt to leave that alien place, however, was too strong to be able to worry about his own safety. The unsuspecting mentalist built a raft and braved the baleful waters of the oceans before him. At the same time, a pirate vessel captain navigated much more skillfully in these same troubled waters. She was the Gorgon planeswalker Rashka of the Golgari Guild, sent on a task of the utmost secrecy and importance from her master. The sky had finally cleared up. These had been difficult days. The storms had given no respite to the Gorgon and her crew.
He keeps
The
running into
5 days and
Vraska.
nights, the howling winds, and the endless storms had threatened to sink their own vessel, the only home they had in an otherwise unfriendly expanse of endless water. But in the end, as always, Rashka came through unscathed. She was a survivor after all, and if she had resisted the abuses of her captors when she was little more than a child, thunder and lightning certainly would not have stopped her. It was in that very moment, in the soft reddish light of the sunset, that Rashka spied the body of a young man passed out on the remains of a careless raft, now adrift. Who was this fool? It did not matter. If she hadn't intervened, they would have soon become food for fish. Besides, maybe this young man had some riches with him. It was worth fishing him out, taking what he possessed and throwing it back to his fate. And so Rashka did. The Gorgon ordered her subordinates to fish the handsome young man from the seductive depths of the sea. And as soon as he was hoisted aboard, Rashka realized what she had done. Jace Beleren, the living guildpact of Ravnica, was laying helpless on her dock, at her very feet. The Golgari champion could have handed his life right away, disposing of a huge potential opponent, but something stopped her. There was an aura of innocence about the wizard. Rashka could feel it. Also, Jace was completely helpless at the moment, unable to fight back. Rashka was a trained, unscrupulous assassin, but she didn't usually kill those who couldn't defend themselves. So, the Gorgon resolved to wait for Jace to wake up before making any further decisions about what to do. Hours turned into days, and days turned into
I'm gonna
weeks.
make that a reference.
Jace awoke, and Rashka learned of his amnesia. An unsuspecting Jace wanted to join the crew
There we go.
to repay his savior, and Rashka decided to spare him. The two became close, and soon they fell in love. For months, Jace actively participated in Rashka's raids as a member of her crew until one day the two arrived at Orazca, the fabled golden city hidden in the deep unexplored jungles of Ixalan and the original destination of the Gorgon. There, the two were shipwrecked and Jace fell into the depths of the sea beneath the city. The shock of the near-death experience was strong enough to bring back every last one of Jace's lost memories. And to Rashka's horror, Jace remembered everything. He remembered his childhood on Rin, Almoret, Ravnica, the Eldrazi, the Gatewatch Liliana. Everything. All except his last fight with Bolas on Amonkhet. The trauma was still too strong. He also remembered Rashka, who she was, and what she had done, and most importantly, what he thought of her. But the Jace of his memories was a different one. A Jace who hadn't really known her. This Jace was different. Unable to despise the Gorgon again, Jace decided to forgive her for their past grievances and trust her. Together, the two journeyed deep into Orazca, into the heart of the Golden City, where they clashed with Azor first, the Supreme Judge, former Perun of the Azorius Senate on Ravnica, and last guardian to the Immortal Sun on Ixalan. The Immortal Sun was a legendary artifact hidden from time immemorial in the heart of Ixalan, whose primary role was to prevent any planeswalkers who had come to Ixalan from leaving the plane. And that was exactly why Jace's attempts to leave that accursed plane had borne no fruit. Furthermore, if activated, the Immortal Sun was able to generate the same immense heat that is found in the heart of stars, and to the being who had climbed on it, it would have granted unspeakable godlike powers.
Hmm.
Jace was able to defeat Azor first in a direct mental combat, during which the wizard was also able to peer into the Sphinx's mind. What Jace saw were bits of past plans Azor and Ugin hatched against Nicol Bolas, but which never came to fruition. But what Jace saw were also the reasons that had pushed the two ancient beings to hatch such a plan. What Jace saw were experts from Nicol Bolas' master plan, and what the power-hungry Elder Dragon had in store for Ravnica. An invasion, the largest invasion the multiverse had ever seen. And during this invasion, an unspecified ritual, which would restore what Bolas had always considered his birthright, a state of godhood. Immediately, Jace told Rashka what he had witnessed, and she, putting her affection for the mentalist in front of her own safety, decided to trust him fully and reveal the truth about her master and what her true task on Ixalan was. Rashka had been sent by Nicol Bolas himself to retrieve the Immortal Sun in exchange for the guild mastery of the Golgari swarm on Ravnica. She knew nothing, however, of what Bolas intended to do with the artifact. She too had been deceived, and now she wanted to help. Knowing that Bolas would scan her memories to ensure her loyalty upon her return, Rashka asked Jace to temporarily erase all memories of their encounter to maintain the secrecy of their partnership. This would allow Bolas to continue to trust the Gorgon so that she could betray him when the time was right. Reluctantly, Jace agreed and sealed away parts of her memories. And just like that, Gorgon forgot the tenderness that united them. And the two, once again strangers and enemies, took different paths. Rashka returned victorious to her master, eager to redeem her prize, while Jace rushed to rally his comrades as well as the other guild leaders in order to prepare Ravnica's defenses for the last great battle that awaited them.
All right. So I have to pause it here. I'm sorry. I'm about to run to the gym to knock out a session. We're practically done. We have like 15 minutes of this left, but this point of the story, I actually want to go through like the history of this portion of it. So we'll finish this because all of the storylines of all the planeswalkers are going to like collapse into one big event. But I want to make sure that you still have a bit of a surprise once it all happens. So what I'm gonna do is tomorrow we're gonna to go and listen to thank you, Cry. I appreciate it. We're gonna go into the story of Nicobolus and his brother Ugin, which will be the beginning of all of the craziness that we know today in Magic the Gathering. So I'm gonna end here. I'm gonna call it a night. I'll see you all tomorrow morning. Uh, if you want, what I could do is I could have us listen to lore in the morning session as well. If you are just now joining, I appreciate you joining. Go ahead and hit that like button and follow button on the respective platform you're on. Help us hit that goal. If you're on Instagram or YouTube, go ahead and hit that like and follow. If you're on Twitch, hit that follow. Every little bit goes a long way. Until next time, though, I will have to abruptly end this session. But if you want more lore, we can listen to lore in the morning streams. That's at 8:30 p.m. or 8:30 a.m. My bad. 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll see you all in the morning. Until next time, as always, Hero music.